In what could be bad news for former President Donald Trump's re-election campaign, up to a third of Republican voters appear to not be satisfied with Trump as their nominee. This, according to Canadian polling firm Ledger, who surveyed 1,000 Americans and found that Trump does not have the full support of his base. In fact, 33% of Republicans would have preferred another politician. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that they will vote for Joe Biden, but it also doesn't mean that they will vote for Donald Trump. So now they found, unsurprisingly, that when they asked the younger voters, the percentage that are not going to go for Donald Trump is 47%. They said, we wish we had someone else. Interesting. Now, that mirrors also young people when it comes to President Joe Biden. So young people are not thrilled with a Biden-Trump rematch. Now, when it comes to Republicans, I think a lot of those people were supporters of Nikki Haley. Now, she won 20% of the vote in Maryland and nearly 18% of the vote in Nebraska. That was after she dropped out. Okay. So that said, Trump still overwhelmingly won with older voters. And so, yeah, that does make up the majority of the Republican base. So now what's interesting, though, about this poll is that this was actually done before Trump's guilty verdict, which could have an impact, not a huge impact in my opinion, because the people who are ride or die with Trump or are ride or die, they don't care. They'll vote for a convicted felon. It doesn't matter. But there are some people that are like, I'm not really interested in voting for a convicted felon. And look, that said, I know Republicans right now are like, oh, look at the fundraising numbers. They've exploded since Donald Trump was convicted of a federal crime. Wow, are you sure you should be bragging about that? I mean, more people giving money to somebody who broke the law, but they don't care. Some people are enthusiastic about voting for a convicted felon, but some are not. And there are even some that might end up going for Joe Biden. In fact, there was an ABC News Ipsos poll conducted from April 25th to 30th found that 1 in 5 Trump supporters would reconsider or withdraw their support for Trump in the case of a guilty verdict. So, hey, that is significant. That's about 20%. The sample size of the subgroup of Trump supporters was about 937 adults with a margin of error plus or minus 3.4. So now that said, you've got Republicans these are the politicians that I'm talking about now, that are playing the Veep stakes, right? Tim Scott, Vivek Ramaswamy. Those are the ones that are like, this trial, what a hoax, what a disaster, Supreme Court, come save. That's Mike Johnson, by the way, urging the Supreme Court to come in and save Donald Trump. But there are others who have spoken out against Trump. For example, former Maryland Governor Larry Hogan said, this is before the guilty verdict, he said he would support it in the case after the jury had announced they had reached a verdict, but before it was announced that they had found him guilty. Here's what he posted on X. Regardless of the result, I urge all Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process. At this dangerously divided moment in our history, all leaders, regardless of party, must not pour fuel on the fire with more toxic partisanship. We must reaffirm what has made this nation great, the rule of law. Now, of course, Republicans took that, pro-Trump Republicans took that statement and crumpled it up and threw it in the nearest waste bin, probably after lighting it on fire. And so, you have that. That said, Adam Kinzinger responded by saying, by far the best Republican response I have seen. The bar is low, by the way. Let me just say, the bar is low. Respect for the system that we all rely on. What a noble concept. Rule of law, everybody, is a party of law and order. That you still have 2/3 that are complaining about law and order. You also have former National Security Advisor John Bolton writing, today's verdict is a fire bell in the night. The Republican Party now has one last chance to change course and not nominate a convicted felon for president. Too late. Too late. Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, who doesn't appear to agree with the verdict, by the way. He also said that you should respect it. Quote, it is not easy to see a former president and the presumptive GOP nominee convicted of felony crimes, but the jury verdict should be respected. An appeal is in order, but let's not diminish the significance of this verdict. Now, it's funny because when it comes to an appeal, you have to prove that there was something wrong in the case and how the case was carried out. Do they have any evidence that it was? No. They're just saying unfair. On what grounds? Unfair. I didn't get the decision that I wanted. Oh, okay. Well, sad day for you. Now, there's more. Lisa Murkowski, who was a Republican, she said she might actually leave the Republican Party as a result. Now, I don't hold her to it, okay? But here's what she said on CNN. Quote, "I wish that as Republicans we had a nominee that I could get behind. I certainly can't get behind Donald Trump." Look, we've heard that before from people like Lisa Murkowski. So until she actually, pushes the button and ejects from the party, she's still going to be complicit in it. When asked if she would become an independent, she said, "Oh, I think I'm very independent-minded. I just regret that our party is seemingly becoming the party of Donald Trump." Well, okay, if you're independent-minded, then you would pull the chute, because it is a cult. It's the party of Donald Trump. It is the cult. And like all cults, the majority of the people that are in the cult do not realize that they're in a cult. And when they do, well, they tend to leave with great risk to themselves. And so that's where a lot of these Republicans that have openly, called for Trump to not be the nominee and said, I won't, or they said I won't vote for him. That's what they're doing. They are leaving at great risk to themselves. And so, look, you speak out against Trump, you refuse to vote for him, you're branded enemy of the republic, basically. Enemy of the state, enemy of Trump, enemy of the people, all that stuff. And that does have significant repercussions, both when it comes to people's political careers, right? So all these Republicans that I mentioned, they're not going to have a career in Republican politics, not for a very, very long time, if ever. So, and when it comes to voters, a little less clear, right? Because generally their votes are kept secret for the most part. But there is consequences. When it comes to families, you have people that are pro-Trump. You have communities that are pro-Trump, and then you break away from that. Well, and somebody finds out, a neighbor finds out, you could find yourself in some significant danger, possibly personal danger, or just being excluded from everything else. And so from your communities, your churches, etc. So it's the sort of the excommunication effect in some of these, small conservative towns. And so I do respect it that even though I disagree with them on policy, and that's totally fine, I respect them that they're not partaking in the Trump cult of personality anymore. And if they are serious about not supporting Trump, not endorsing, and for the voters, not voting for him, and even switching over to someone else, Joe Biden even, that deserves some recognition. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.